Welcome, guys. We've had the sprint qualifying session for the Canadian Grand Prix, and what a session we got. That was a qualifying session akin to 2025. Brilliant action all the way through. We'll jump straight into SQ1, and well, the big drama in that one was that incident with Fernando Alonso. Had caused quite a long delay while they fixed the barriers, but that bagged him a P14, a chance to get into SQ2, and if only he hadn't damaged his car and it was taken into the wall, he would have got a chance to see a Aston Martin in SQ2, but the way it felt, it was sort of a bit of a technicality how he managed to squeeze himself in there. Initially it looked like, but I mean, as everybody then got, or some people then got the final runs, he did drop back. But there's one way to score yourself a higher grid position. But despite that, he still out-qualified the homeboy Lance Stroll. But there's no surprise really on that one. Valtteri Bottas found himself at the back of the grid. Sadly, didn't get a run out on the final runs after the track cleared, and he missed the flag on his proper run by about 4 seconds. So a real kick into the teeth for Valtteri. Probably could have been higher up than he actually was, but just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Pierre Gasly in P19, not a good session from him. Lance Stroll, like I said, P18, he'll be disappointed in his home Grand Prix, and he's been beaten again by, well, Sergio Perez in a Cadillac, which will be disappointing when he's been beaten by Fernando Alonso as well. So 17th for Perez, 16th for Fernando Alonso. Ollie Behrman out in P15, and the last one was out was the Haas of Esteban Ocon, a P14 for him. The two Hasses struggling around here. Disappointing to see how that went for them. And yeah, that was all she wrote really for a SQ1. Although actually the Hasses did get through because there's only 6 that go out, isn't it, initially? But yeah, decent enough session for some of them drivers, but overall, not the best session, really, is it? Into SQ2, and it was the Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton that, again, was surprisingly quick until a final lap from George Russell put a 0.4 gap, and you thought, oh, the Mercedes have really got this in the bag. But Lewis split the two Mercedes in the SQ2 session. He looked really strong in that Ferrari, back to the kind of the Lewis Hamilton who know, and he sort of said he used the simulator pre the other Grand Prix, and he didn't use it in China, and he went well, and he decided to abandon it in Canada. He was really putting the misdirection on the car set up in Miami down to him using the simulator, and it's not really helping in terms of real world correlation, and that's seen him ditch that idea. And well, yeah, that was, you know, it looked like it worked really well for him, and it was a strong showing for him in SQ2. Fernando Alonso was P16 in that session to go out. Ollie Behrman in 15th, then followed by Esteban Ocon. A crash for Ollie Behrman, broke his front wing in that session, and Ocon, well, he out-qualifies Ollie Behrman. A decent session from him. Franco Colapinto in 13th place, and then the two Audis, Gabi Bortoleto and Nico Hülkenberg, finds himself in 11th place again. Solid from the Audis, just didn't quite have enough to get them in to the top 10, but it was Arvid Lindblad that shone in that session for me. I thought he did a brilliant lap to get himself in P7, out-qualified the Red Bull of Isaac Hadjar and Max Verstappen, no doubt, in the lesser car, apparently. So, again, as I knock the mic and the camera and give it all a wobble, you know, the Racing Bulls showing up the main team, which is pretty embarrassing for the way the session went for Red Bull. And their session didn't really improve after that into the next one. And on the sprint pole position is George Russell. The pressure was on. He's risen to the occasion. He's shown he is that man, and I think he did a pretty solid job. Only just half a tenth ahead of Kimi Antonelli, but being ahead is all that counts. and he'll just be hoping for a good start down into turn one. But he's done the job, done the business when it counted, went for a final run when it all looked said and done. It looked like we would have Lewis Hamilton right up at the front, but the second runs came where it looked like qualifying was over, and almost everyone improved, but that's where the Ferraris sadly went back. But it was George Russell on pole position. Well done to him. He's risen. This is a track that he really, really likes. But Kimi Antonelli did what he absolutely needed to do, is just ride this home in worst case second place, because there are going to be weekends where George Russell is better than you, but you've just got to do the maximum in terms of damage limitation, and he's just got to follow his teammate if he can't beat him, and he's put himself in a good position for P2. He just hope he can get a good start from there tomorrow. Then come the two McLarens. Lando Norris, for all the world it looked like they'd be behind the two Ferraris, but when it came finally in SQ3, well, McLaren in the form of Lando Norris come good, really good lap from him. Oscar Piastri just put 20 hundredths behind Lando Norris, so a pretty solid job from the two McLarens. Look like they both maximised the most out of that car, especially when you see there's nothing between them. Lewis Hamilton down in 5th place. He does outqualify his teammate Charles Leclerc. That did look on the cards pretty much all session. He had the better of Charles, but he'll be disappointed at how low down he came. And I think really I think a 3rd place was his, but he had a lock up into the hairpin, and that probably definitely cost him about half a tenth. And that was probably the difference between, well, it is about half a tenth, isn't it? The difference between him and Lando Norris for that 3rd place. So I think he'll be kicking himself a little bit, because really you don't deserve anything really. You've got to just put it out there and track, and you grab what you grab, don't you? But a strong performance. The Ferrari looked good, or better than we've seen it before, and he just needs to hope that, well, the Mercedes get bad starts ahead of him, and him in that Ferrari can shoot off the line and get himself in a couple of positions up at the front, and they'll be overtaking down that long straight down into the final hairpin. So it'll be an interesting sprint race tomorrow. But the two Ferraris 5th and 6th. Then come the two Red Bulls. Max Verstappen ahead of Isaac Hadjar. Hadjar better this weekend, because the gap between him and Verstappen is back to about a tenth, whereas last weekend it was more than half a second, wasn't it? So Isaac Hadjar can be happier with this session, I guess. But Max Verstappen complaining about the car. He was saying it was bouncing all over the place, couldn't get on top of it. The rear didn't look steady at all. And Red Bull looked like they'd taken a few steps forward in Miami, but it's kind of almost like flattered to deceive a little bit, hasn't it? They've gone a few steps back this weekend, both Ferraris ahead of them when it comes to the 1 lap pace. But he's just hoping that big letterbox rear wing can help him down into the final chicane for some overtaking maneuvers. And then comes the 9th place of Arvid Lindblad. A really, really positive session from him. Outqualifies his teammate, get himself into the top 10. Really, really solid job from him so far this weekend. He'd shown good promise throughout that session, and rounded it off with a good Q3 session. And Carlos Sainz, well, the last man into the top 10, didn't quite get the run. He was about 7/10 off the pace of Arvid Lindblad, so not quite the Q3 run that he probably wanted. He would have been hoping to be at least closer to the Racing Bulls, but nevertheless he's in the top 10. Points only up until 8th in the sprint race tomorrow, so he'll be hoping that there's some shenanigans between the top teams up ahead. But otherwise, points kind of look off the cards, don't they, at the moment? It does look like it'll be the two Mercedes, two Ferraris, two McLarens, and then the two Red Bulls. In what order, we'll find out for the race tomorrow. But yeah, that will be it. It looks like it'll be an interesting sprint race. No pit stop, so a straight shootout between the two Mercedes boys. I'm sure the two McLarens, well, they've been with fast starting McLarens, haven't they? So they'll be hoping to pick up at least one position. Kimi Antonelli will be definitely hoping that he doesn't get the bad starts he's had. So apparently they've fixed things for this weekend. Let's see if that actually fixes his problems off the start line or just complicates things more. Who knows? But we'll find out soon enough. And the Ferrari boys, well, we know they get mega starts. Lewis Hamilton looked feisty so far, so I'll be hoping to pick up more points and potentially a podium. Do expect a lot of overtakes. We generally do get that round Canada. And fingers crossed we get more of that in the sprint race tomorrow. But the grid is set. It does look promising, and hopefully we should get a good battle up at the front if it does be the two Mercedes that get away well. And yeah, Kimi Antonelli, can he beat Russell to the finish line? We'll find out tomorrow, but it should be cracking. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, see you on the next one.